Hello Internet, welcome back to my channel. Today I have a new project I want to share with you. Maybe you already know what it is, maybe you don't, but this is a '04 Yamaha YFZ450. Don't let those yellow plastics fool you. This is a Yamaha, the plastics are aftermarket. So I picked this thing up on Facebook Marketplace. I had to drive 2 hours for it, and it does not run. I have not heard it run. He did have a video of it running, but who knows, maybe that was 2 years ago. But in this video, we're going to go through it and see if we can get it running and bring it back to life. Back in the day, this was a top-notch machine to have. If you were serious about riding and racing, this is what you had. They ran the YFZ450 from '04 all the way to 2013. And matter of fact, I think it was maybe 2009, they came out with another iteration of the YFZ450 called the YFZ450R. And for 3 or 4 years, they produced both models, this model and the YFZ450R, which is a completely different bike. The only thing they really share is the displacement. The YFZ450R model has a bolted together aluminum steel frame. It's fuel injected, all kinds of different upgrades. But I always thought it was kind of interesting that they produced both models for 3, 4, 5 years or whatever it was. So back to this four-wheeler. This one's been upgraded with several aftermarket parts. You can see here on the front end we got aftermarket A-arms and shocks. You can see here these are custom axis shocks. They are dual rate, which means you have two different springs here. You can see the different colors. So this is its own individual spring, and so is this one. We have the aftermarket A-arms. I posted these in a group, and they said they're Lone Star, and I'm pretty sure they are right. Other than, I think these tie rod ends might be, I think they might be Walsh. Maybe not. The red anodized Heim joints kind of make me think, they're a different brand. I'm not sure. Let me know down in the comments what kind of A-arms these are, so I can order parts, because I'm going to end up having to order new Heim joints and ball joints and all that stuff. In the back here, we have a Lone Star swing arm. Now, I'm pretty sure it's a Lone Star swing arm. That's what everyone on the internet's telling me, but maybe you can tell me down below in the comments if I'm wrong. I'm not sure if the linkage is different aftermarket or not. I have no idea. It looks stock. And the rear shock is stock as well. The chain is super tight. I don't know what's up with all that. But we do have an aftermarket axle here, which looks like it might have some play in that hub, which isn't necessarily end of the world. Maybe it needs to be, this one's not. This one doesn't have any play. That kind of sucks. I don't think that's the end of the world, but you can see here the morons that had this before put the wheels on backwards. You can see the valve stems are on the inside. And we're also missing a sprocket bolt. Now, as far as cosmetic upgrades, this thing has Meyer plastics. They're yellow. And we got these Dana Creech racing graphics, which are super cool. I mean, they don't look the best. I remember back in the day when I was probably like 10 to 15, every day I would get on a website forum called atvriders.com, and it used to be called xriders or exriders.com. And, this kind of stuff, this was the cool stuff back in the day. Same with this Quadtech seat cover. Now, I'd say the Quadtech seat cover stuff is still cool today, and I think they're still in business. The seat, the seats definitely seen better days. Now, this is a cool piece. Too bad it's not in good shape. It's a Quadtech hood. You can see here it's been mangled up. I don't know if it's really savable. I don't know. Maybe let me know in the comments if you know of anyone that works on these or can restore this. But this wouldn't be so bad if someone would have put the bumper back on. The bumper mounts are a little boogered up, but I think we can fix those. The front brake lever is missing. The steering has a bunch of slop in it. I'm pretty sure it's the steering stem and that bottom flag right there. It's pretty common on Yamahas to develop slack in there. We had a couple extra bolts hanging around. We're missing lots of bolts. Well, maybe not lots, just some for the Nerf bars. These are AC Nerf bars, Pro Peg Nerf bars, and back in the day, these things, I mean, these were the cat's meow. As you can see, you know, over 20 years, the pegs are pretty sorry. I mean, it's a faulty design, you know, using pegs or making the pegs out of aluminum. You know, aluminum is a soft metal, and AC doesn't make these anymore. I mean, there are other companies that do make the Nerf bars, but not AC. So those are a cool, like, vintage, I guess, at this point, vintage item. I don't know why they got all these parts unbolted. We got a Pro Design shifter here. Little Lone Star fender bracket. And a PP chain roller. I think this must just relocate the chain roller up higher because of some reason. I'm not sure. Trying to think what other aftermarket parts. I guess we got like a, grab bar. Now back to the YFZ450R. I'm pretty sure that's what this muffler is off of, just based off the tip here. I could be wrong. This could be stock to this four-wheeler, but I kind of find it hard to believe that all these modifications have been done to this four-wheeler and they didn't put an exhaust on it. I don't know. Seems a little suspicious to me. I think maybe it had an exhaust on it. Someone swapped it out. That's just the hunch I got. Carburetor's on there. It looks like the OEM keyhin, which is great news. What else? I don't see any major leaks or major issues. Now, now you can see the frame has been powder coated red, which means this thing's been taken all the way down to the frame at least once, and the wiring has been, reinstalled in their own custom manner with zip ties and whatnot. And, these are for the headlights, this particular connector. But there's lots of connectors just hanging around here. I know this one's for the neutral light and the coolant light on the dash, but I don't know what this little black one with the 3 yellow wires is. Now, 3 yellow wires is typically for your stator, or from your stator, going to the rectifier regulator. That's what this is. But that's already plugged in right here, this white connector. So, if you know what this connector is right here, let me know down in the comments, because I looked on a wiring diagram, I couldn't figure it out. This is to our front brake lights, or front brake switch rather. That is no longer there. We do have this connector here, which is not connected to anything. This connector, I think, is for the Tours. May have been deleted, but looks like it got hot at one point. But I think you can delete these. They're kind of problematic. It may have already be deleted. It may already be deleted because this aftermarket, Chinese throttle doesn't have that Tours sensor in there. Now, I have already looked at this a little bit. The kid I bought it from was like, it needs a new solenoid, which it has a new solenoid in it, right? And you could get this thing to turn over by jumping the posts here, but he made the fatal mistake by not installing the wires for the starter in the correct orientation. He had these reversed. You can see, obviously, this goes to the battery, and I have it lined up with the post that is marked B. This one's marked M for motor, right? Electric motor, B for battery. So when you have those hooked up backwards, it doesn't power up the wiring harness. Another thing It does have an aftermarket Moto 1988 airbox lid. Thought that was interesting. But it's got a Pro Flow intake on it, and I guess they ordered a stock air filter and didn't realize that this is all different, and you know, nothing going on here is correct. But the good news is I assume that it did not run since this, because I don't see any dirt in there. Who knows? But I did check the oil when I bought it, and it was like overflowing. It was crazy. You can see how much. I don't know if you can see. Hold on, let's see. You can see right there how high the oil is. It shouldn't be anywhere near that high. Matter of fact, I don't even think you're supposed to fill it up right there. I think you're supposed to fill it up right here. I could be wrong. Yeah. Now, the dude I bought it from swore up and down this thing runs, but he said he had cleaned the carburetor and couldn't get it right. When we were there, it didn't start, which I didn't suspect that it would run. When I was there, we couldn't get it to start, but it did turn over. So at the time, it only turned over when you jumped the solenoid. I've since swapped these two wires. So it does turn over now. Now, if all it needed was a carburetor clean, we should just be able to spray some brake cleaner in the intake, and it should attempt to run, do something. So let's make sure fuel is on, which it's not. Now it is. Let's give this thing a whirl. So if it just needs a carburetor clean, we should just be able to spray this brake clean in like that and start it up. ran. I didn't think it was going to. I'm not even gonna lie, last night I tried to start it with some brake cleaner and it did not run. But I think I was also giving it some gas. And the TORS system typically won't let it run or start if this isn't kosher, if that makes sense. I don't know. It's complicated. There's probably videos on it. So it started, and the idle seems high, but I don't see the idle screw. Which the idle screw probably is, you know, a little flex guy somewhere here. Huh. But I think this little black knob right there is the idle. Something to do with that TORS system, which is that little box right here. So let's turn that down a little bit, see what happens. Why is it not starting now? Doesn't sound terrible. Oh, great. But it is 9 o'clock at night. I'm not trying to piss off the neighbors. Yeah. I really need to look into the TORS more. This is not hooked up, which goes into the... You know what? I think this might be for the rear brake. Brake light, rather. But the TORS is not hooked up because I know these wires are for the TORS, right? And then up here somewhere, there's some more wires for it that are not hooked up. So I need to look up how to delete that. It could be the carburetor, but we have to, you know, process of elimination. This isn't right. We have to make it correct so we know that that is not an issue. All right, so it's a day or two later. This thing's still doing the same thing. It'll start on brake cleaner, but it will not start by just pushing the button. I did check to make sure there's fuel coming out, and there is. So there's a couple things here. It does sound rough when it's starting over. There's the one-way bearing for the starter clutch, whatever you want to call it, it's on its way out. He had mentioned that it was bad. The dude that I bought it from did mention that it was bad. As a matter of fact, he couldn't even get it to turn over until I told him to, you know, try and jump start it, you know, push start it rather. And then now it's working currently. So the current, you know, situation as far as it not wanting to start, of course, we should check the carburetor first. He's messed with it. Who knows? Maybe he got something wrong in here. And then my next thought is the valves might be tight. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this gas tank off, which I think I don't even have to do anything right here. But this, the fuel's already off. Yeah, it should just pop off right here. Yes, sir. So I'll pull this carburetor out, and then we'll check the valves. Maybe we'll check the valves first. It looks like it might be easier to get to the valve cover. Oh wow, look at all that fuel pouring out of the accelerator pump area. See that? That ain't supposed to be like that. Oh yeah, there we go. All right, so we knew we had an issue with the accelerator pump, which is right here. This little diaphragm here. And when I whack the throttle, there should be fuel that squirts out from it. But there isn't. It was gushing out here for some reason. Well, the screws are pretty loose. Well, that could be reason number one right there. That diaphragm is shot. I don't know if might have another one, I'm not sure. And then this is like a little O-ring right here too. Gotta be careful of this one. This one is it's actually not even an O-ring, it's just like a flat rubber washer. The spring is important. There is an O-ring right there. So that's why we were getting fuel to the top there. I think. I don't even know if fuel's supposed to be on that side. Alright, there's some passages here. That one was clear. Let's try this one. Oh yeah, good to go. Now you have to be careful here. There's supposed to be a spring, a washer, and a O-ring. I like to fish the O-ring and washer out with this. This is just the old antenna back when you had metal antennas on cars. Yep, there you go. Just like that. And they had these in backwards. It's supposed to be the O-ring and then the washer goes in. So that was backwards. Probably doesn't make too much of a difference, but not too clean in there. There's a little bit of junk. It's definitely, you know, got some varnish going on. Now, one thing you do need to check is this right here. This is the leak jet. This is for the accelerator pump right here. Yeah, I think this leak jet is clogged. Wow. Well, this could be one reason it's not running. There's no main jet in here. You can see the end of the needle right there. Oh my gosh. What's wrong with these people? Okay, this is the pilot jet. And it says 58 on it. So might, I don't know. I don't know what a 450 is supposed to run. Sounds a little big. But it's clear. But we didn't have a main jet in there. Crackheads or whatever. There we go. Had me worried. So on this little hole always faces down. And then it's got this seal on the back. But as you can see, this one is long gone. So we need one of those. Honestly, this plate's seen better days, but I guess it is what it is, huh? And everything else looks all right. So I'm gonna look up the jetting for this and see what it's supposed to take. Okay, I've gone through all my parts carburetor stuff here, and here's what I have found. As you saw, we didn't even have a main jet in here. We had a 58 Pilot, and I thought that was a little big. And I found on the internet, no bigger than a 45 Pilot, and probably between a 158 main and a 168 main. So this thing, the jetting was completely wrong. Not to mention, I didn't even have a jet in it. Now our other big issue is this diaphragm. Now I found this one, which is different a little bit, but I think I can cut those little ears off and chop this off, this rod, and I think this would be a good temporary fix till we can get some parts in. These are the same diameter, I'm pretty sure. So, yeah, when I put this in here, it fits in there pretty good. So we just chop those ears off, chop this guy off. We can make it work. Yeah, everything else looks pretty good. I think this little gasket that is no longer with us, I think we'll be fine without that for now. We did have our little spring and set up here for the fuel mixture, so we're good on that. I think we can get it running if we fix, put the right size jets in it and put a jet in it, and fix this accelerator pump. Now, this right here, it's hard to even see it because it's so messed up these days. This is the leak jet. Now, the leak jet basically regulates the amount of fuel that gets sprayed in from the accelerator pump. So just think about it. Just think about it as like a regulated return, kind of, right? Or think about it as like a fuel regulator, leak jet. Basically, any fuel that's going to go through this passage is going to go into the intake, but in case it's getting too much, we have a leak jet here, and a little bit can bleed off into the bowl. So hopefully that makes sense on how that works. Okay, so good news. I got this leak jet cleared out. You can see the light right there. See it? So, although that jet is stuck in there, at least it's unclogged now. Whatever. I'm going to throw it back together, clean this up, and hopefully we can get this thing running. All right, so I just cleaned out the carburetor, went through it. I didn't reinstall the air box or anything. We are missing the main jet completely. It did not even exist. The pilot jet was completely way too big too. And the accelerator pump was rotten. So I put a makeshift one in there. Let's see if this thing starts. I don't see any. I think some fuel's coming out now. Maybe we'll try the choke. should try the valves. I don't know, it's probably flooded. Probably the range are probably all, you know, gassed out. Lost a little compression maybe. Let's stand here a little bit. Okay, well, it's lowered. All right, hopefully this is a better view now. So, I haven't looked up the specs, but just for fun, I want to make sure there's a gap in between the cam and the lifters, or shim buckets rather. So you can see this is pointed up on the intake here. This one goes through. This one goes through. And that one does too. It's kind of hard to tell on that one, but it does. So let's turn this over. Now the exhaust is pointed up. Now this is just kind of like a quick, dirty way of checking this, right? That exhaust is good. So is that one. So now we need to check this one's good, so we need to check timing. It's kind of hard to see with the oil in there, but we're just making sure that this feeler gauge can go through and there's clearance between the shim bucket and the cam. Okay, you can see right here that we're at top dead center, right there. And on this cam, we have that mark perfectly lined up with the head. And then, same thing over here with that little mark. Now the other cool discovery is, this thing's got hot cams. Both cams are hot cams in it. See there? This stupid thing, I'm fucking so sick of this. The cam chain tension is a little loose, but you know, it's got this manual tensioner. We can tighten that up. I'm a little stumped. Maybe I need to pull the plug out, see what the plug's looking like. All right, I threw the plug back in, I cleaned it up. I don't know, I'm not super hopeful, but let's give it a whirl, I guess. And it's spittering and sputtering a little bit. But at least it's running. This is running better than it has before. Situation. Oh, great. Now, our starter clutches. Oh, wait. Our starter clutch is in and out. But check out this beauty. Oh my gosh. Half the freaking link is missing. That ain't good. This is a Japanese chain, it says. Now I just opened this, and this thing is like over full again. I don't know what's going on here. It doesn't seem like it's thinned out with gas or anything. I don't know what's going on. That's just way too much. I guess let's drain it and see what we can come up with. Looks pretty brand new. Why is this over full? This is still freaking slap full over here. Okay, so I drained the engine oil, but the reservoir is still full. So this is the line that goes to the bottom of the reservoir. Let's see what happens when we unhook it. I feel like I remember back in the day these having oiling issues, but I could be making this up. Well, I mean, it seems to be flowing. Okay, let's see if it's pumping back to the tank here. I've already loosened it. Yeah, it's pumping. I'm just not understanding our oil situation here. I just don't understand, why is it not going, why is it not draining from the tank to in here when it's just sitting here? It should drain. And I've turned the engine over. I don't know. Let's pull this oil cover. Ooh, that's a long bolt. All right, let's see what it does when we turn it over. Is oil cover? Oil definitely pumps out there. I don't get this damn thing. I just don't get it. Okay, I've taken the bolt out of this oil passage right here. Let's see if it pumps any oil out. Yep, got oil coming out. Okay, so the only thing we haven't checked so far, thus far, is that bottom line coming out of the oil tank. You can see there's two Allen head bolts. Now, this is what is on the end of that pipe. There's this filter screen. So that could be clogged up. I mean, we had flow out of this tube here, but I don't know. I feel like it should be draining back in to the engine more. I think. That's just me. Yeah, I got the tank out, and looks like it has its own drain. It does have its own drain here. I guess I didn't see. So maybe that's half of our issue, but I guess, you know, there's no such thing as too much oil flow. All right, this is the moment of truth. Oh yeah, there's some metal shavings on there and all kinds of junk. It's probably not good. Oh my gosh. That is not a good sign for our engine. But who knows this? Oh my gosh, there's so much of it. Oh my gosh. Dang. That's a lot of shavings. I mean, that could be why it wasn't pumping back in, I guess. Let's clean it off. So last night, I cleaned this carburetor again. As you can tell, I also cleaned the outside. But the passageway for the pilot jet, I sprayed carburetor cleaner through it, or brake cleaner, but I'm pretty sure it was clogged. So I used this little piece of wire here, shoved it through, and it's 100%, you know, flowing now. There's no clog for sure. So that 58 pilot may still be too big, but I don't know. So right now I have it set with a 165 main and a 58 pilot. So let's throw this thing back on. I think, I don't know, if everything's fine, what I'm reading, we should be at like a 45 pilot. But I don't know, maybe this thing's got a big bore kit in it, I don't know. Okay, I just swapped out the pilot jet for a 60 instead of a 58. Seems to be running better. But I'll tell you what, this thing vibrates a whole bunch. It's hard to see in the video, but now we still have a little bit of a hanging idle. That typically means we're still too lean on that pilot jet. So I don't know, I'm gonna let it run out of fuel here, and I'm gonna go get a fresh spark plug. That way we can rule that out. All right, I just pulled the plug out. Got back from a little parts run. Got a fresh NGK plug. I mean, this one still sparks, but I don't know, it's always, that was $6, so quick, easy thing to rule out. And everyone's been, you know, hating that I'm not using any compression tester. So I figured, why not grab one? And now is a perfect time to check out the compression on this. Now, it does have a decompression mechanism, so probably I'll look up the spec, probably between 60 and 80 PSI. Okay, our gauge is set up here. Let's see how much compression we have. Fuel is off, and I already drained it out, so that's good. All the way open. Call me. Wow, why does it say 0? Okay, why is it 0 PSI? This is all the way in. That's on. What? I had pressure there. Why is the gauge not reading? seem right. Maybe the valves are, maybe there's a problem with the valves not sealing the whole way. They're not sealing. It literally is maybe 10. I don't know. I had to try it on another four-wheeler real quick. All right, maybe, I don't know. Maybe let's just try squirting some PB Blaster in the cylinder. Now, maybe the rings are stuck, but this thing was running. We did get it to run. You know, the piston rings could be, it runs. So, there could be an issue with the valves, you know, not seating the whole way. Now, if this oil makes it jump up, then that would be the piston rings, but I don't know. It doesn't seem very likely. Or this could be a faulty gauge. Let's see. Nothing. Huh. Weird. Well, I'm gonna drop this fresh spark plug in. See what happens here. I don't even know how this thing runs if it's freaking, if that's the amount of compression it has. That's crazy. Okay, fresh spark plug. Our compression tester says we have 30 PSI. So let's see what happens. I don't know. Okay, so I took the pigtail from the compression tester, you can see hanging out the head, and I hooked it directly up to my air compressor, and I did this while it was on top dead center, but I found that every time I did that, the compression from the air compressor would turn the engine over and not hold it at top dead center. So you can see here I'm using the breaker bar, I'm going to hold it at top dead center, and then I will hook up the air compressor, and you'll see there's no air coming out anywhere. It's holding the compression. So I don't know what is going on. This is the craziest thing I've ever seen. Actually, no air out of the carburetor or the exhaust. Okay, I decided to put this compressor tester on this 300EX. I tried to put it on my TRX90 first, and I pulled the spark plug out, and I don't know, now the spark plug hole is stripped. So here we are on the Honda 300. Let's give it a whirl. I'm losing my patience today. All right, so what we got? 135. Yeah, we got 135. So the we got compression, the gauge works. So why is this thing only registering like 5 PSI? but then it runs. I don't know. I'm kind of... I know I can figure it out. I just have to play with it some more. And at this point, maybe you guys can point me in the right direction with some tips, tricks, whatever, things to check. But at this point, you know, we got it running in the video, and tomorrow's Sunday, so I need to put the video together and get it out. So comment down below, should we rebuild this thing? Should we just get it running and sell it? Or should we part it out? I think we should do a full build on it. So let me know down in the comments what you think. Have a good one.